Welcome back to Corner Stories. Please enjoy this video and don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. And now let's get on to story 1. My friend Anna and I were talking about her dating life. Anna is an incredibly beautiful woman and she could have her pick of men. She broke up with her boyfriend because she was out of his league and he knew it. He would act in insecure ways. Anna stated that she didn't want to settle for someone less than the best. She asked me why would anyone settle and brought up my marriage as a positive example of love. I told her that my husband settled for me and he wasn't attracted to me and we still had a happy marriage. Being settled for isn't the worst thing in the world. My husband Alan and I are happily married high school sweethearts. He was heavily bullied in middle and high school. When I moved into his hometown in sophomore year, I stood up for him. By the end of senior year, he had friends and he asked me to prom. 10 years later, we are happily married. However, I know that my husband doesn't find me attractive. I'm naturally taller and more muscular than the average woman. It's a huge insecurity of mine. A year after we married, my husband drunkenly confessed that he didn't find me attractive. He prefers petite women with delicate facial features, but he was grateful for what I did and felt obliged to thank me. Which is why he asked me out to prom, why we dated throughout college, why he proposed. He still loved me very much but wasn't attracted to me. The next morning he was hungover and had forgotten his confession. He doesn't drink much because he doesn't have a filter and tells the unvarnished truth. I felt crushed but our marriage was very good otherwise. I never told him what he said that night. He was a great husband. I don't think most men are attracted to the way I look anyways. I explained this all to Anna and she was grateful for the advice. That night, Alan started crying. He was crying silently but I woke up. I hugged him and asked what was wrong and he admitted he overheard our conversation. I didn't expect him to overhear since I was in the basement but he heard his name and decided to listen in. I apologized for hurting his feelings but it just made him sob harder. I don't know what I did wrong if I did anything wrong. Ida. Edit, I wasn't advising Anna to settle. She would never be happy settling for someone. I just told her that settling isn't the worst thing in the world and my marriage is one of settlement. My husband settled for me and we're happy. My advice was to stay true to herself and her beliefs. If she's not happy, then the relationship can't move forward. Relevant comments. I don't think you are the asshole in this, absolutely not in any way. But I am curious if your husband ended up talking to you about it? OP, no, we haven't really gotten around to it. He's been down for the past few days and any time I've tried to gently prod him, he started crying and I comforted him. I've decided to leave it alone until he feels comfortable to talk but I feel guilty in case I did something wrong to hurt him that deeply. NTA, but you need to talk to your husband about this. Either he is really struggling with guilt about his confession or is really triggering with unhappiness in the relationship, and either way you two need to talk about it. Also you are a saint for dealing with that confession so gracefully. OP, I have tried to talk to him about what he overheard. He has just started crying, sometimes even sobbing, and I just comforted him. I didn't want to hurt him more so I've left the topic alone for now until he can tell me how he feels. I don't think he's unhappy in our relationship but you never know. I wish I was a saint. It would probably hurt less but I love my husband and didn't want to hurt him by bringing up his confession ever. It sounds like he thinks you settled for a guy who doesn't find you attractive. Like he broke both your hearts. OP, I didn't settle for him. I'm lucky to be in this relationship at all. No, I hope you don't believe that. What I'm saying is that maybe that is the reason for his tears. I do think you are both need to have a loving convo. I meant what I said about him feeling like he broke both of your hearts because I would have felt that way. Both devastated to have said it and devastated at the person I loved would have heard it, you know. OP, I hope that's not why he's crying. I've long since moved past it. In fact, since I was young I didn't think that there would be people who would be attracted to me. So, it hurt many years back but even then I wasn't shocked, probably because I had already gotten used to the idea of no one being attracted to me. I'm grateful my husband loves me and I've told him that. I would be kind of worried that he's been considering separation. You should really look into scheduling some couples therapy to mediate what's going on here. Regardless, him being this upset warrants him seeing a professional outside of the relationship that he can confide in. I'm very sorry OP. If he's considering separation I'd be heartbroken but I'd have to support him. He doesn't deserve to be in a marriage where he isn't happy and if he wants someone he is attracted to, he has to leave me. I'll let him know that it's okay if he wants to separate and bring up couples therapy. Update. Hello, I'm back with a short update. I got a lot of messages on my post and it was a bit overwhelming. I want to say I am a people pleaser not just for my husband but for my friends and family too. I want them to be happy. I love my husband and want the best for him. We are very monogamous and I value fidelity. We had sessions of couples therapy and he now has a personal therapist. It was surprisingly easy to find someone that suited us, but I did pay a lot of money for our sessions, but they left me feeling baffled. Our counselor was a no-nonsense but comforting older woman. We went through our life, how he was bullied, how we met, how we married, our careers. I told her about how he had drunkenly told me he wasn't attracted to me, but that didn't matter because we loved each other and I don't know what made him upset. She asked us honestly if we wouldn't be happier as best friends but married to other people. Alan adamantly said no. She brought up affection, sex life, those things. We told her we had an active sex life with a couple quirks and were very affectionate, etc., which she focused on. She basically said someone is lying at some point because you can't have all of those things together. She asked Alan to walk through his attraction and he snapped and said he didn't want to talk of having disgusting bad thoughts about me. It was a very long conversation after and I'm still confused, but essentially he thought that anyone sexualizing or having those kinds of thoughts about me was bad, especially other people. He loved me for me. It wasn't even about me being his wife, or me being a woman, or those common things. He thought anyone who had thoughts about me was bad and I should be protected from them. Alan told the counselor that I was too soft and gentle and pure to think that there are bad thoughts about me and bad people. I've never heard that before from anyone. I told our counselor nothing bad has happened to me. I was worried if Alan had trauma in his past that made him wary of others since he had been bullied so viciously in school, but he said that I was thinking of him again and I should think about myself. He said I still didn't realize that the world is scary for me. The counselor asked about any guilt he felt about attraction and he broke down. A couple of years ago, I had intensive surgery and Alan helped me with everything, even eating, showering, and getting around. He confessed that when he helped me with bathing or dressing me, he accidentally looked more than he should and he could feel that I was starting to realize he was having those thoughts about me and shut down. I don't really remember that, but he's my husband. I didn't and don't mind if he looks. He talked about how much he loves me and wants to spend the rest of his life with me. My counselor said I have grown up to think of others' wants and desires above my own and I do have people-pleasing tendencies, but on the whole I'm pretty mentally healthy. I got a few booklets and packets to fill out. My husband was told he needed intensive therapy as soon as possible. He had his first session a few days ago. I don't know where this is going or what happened to make him think the way he does. He didn't grow up in a religious environment. His parents are very affectionate and have a strong marriage. I still love and support my husband. Relevant comments. Oh wow. This is not how I expected the update to go, but it makes so much sense. I thought you would have had the serious trauma and that's where the people-pleasing tendencies come from. Turns out that doesn't have anything below it and your husband has the serious trauma. I'm glad he is getting help, and it sounds to me like he said that because he was projecting his own shame for being so attracted to you. I hope that he has significant healing from his trauma, and that you can start to heal your self-esteem now that you know that none of this was a reflection of you at all. I have no real trauma. I get up happy, healthy, and well-loved. I've always been a people-minded person. I've taken care of my siblings as the oldest daughter, but that was because I wanted to, not because my parents forced me to. Because I was taller and looked older than the other children, I've always been treated as older and more mature than my age. It was what confused me about my husband's comments on me being more innocent and basically more naive than others and how worried he was about me. No one has ever said that about me. I don't know where my husband's trauma comes from, but we'll work through it together. I know he will heal and will be stronger. Wow. Hubby feels guilty for being attracted to you while he was your caregiver. He doesn't realize many men would leave if wife were sick. I hope he finds why he feels like this. He feels that it's bad or evil for anyone to have those thoughts about me. I don't know why. Alan was wonderful during my recovery. I never felt uncomfortable at all. I know many husbands that wouldn't care for their wives like he did. I don't know why he feels guilty. He said he was supposed to take care of me but subconsciously had those bad thoughts and looked more than he should. But I don't know why any thoughts of being attracted to my body as my husband are bad to him. He's my husband. Wow. Your husband is pretty much worshipping you to the point that he views that to desire you sexually is a sin. In other words, he is basically marrying his Virgin Mary so no one could taint her image. So in his beliefs, you have to be out of his league, because there is no way for him to reach his goddess. Yes, he does need therapy. This is not how the marriage work. You love him and he loves you, but he is about to place you on the altar and to sing his rosary. That is not healthy. New update, 6 months later. Hello, I am back with some updates. My husband Alan and I still go to marriage counseling, but he quit therapy because he said it made him worse. We found out a lot during therapy. Much of his trauma came from school where he was being brutally bullied. The adults turned a blind eye, his friends abandoned him, and he couldn't tell his parents. So he felt alone until I arrived. I was well liked, and because I protected him the bullies stopped and people were nice to him again. He loved me and saw me as his savior. The problem was his mental state wasn't good. I think my husband was in the process of being diagnosed, but he has intrusive thoughts. I've always been taller and more muscular than other kids and treated as older. I'm still obviously female, just one that's naturally taller and stouter. With beauty standards emphasizing small and thin, I always felt weird about my body. But that doesn't stop creepy men, and it didn't stop teenage boys. And his bullies made comments about me that are degrading but not atypical for cruel teenage boys. Some of what they said matched his thoughts because they were normal thoughts, intrusive thoughts, or just fantasies. He had a lot of fantasies and a lot of intrusive thoughts about me. It confirmed to him that people have bad thoughts about me and he is just as bad, but the difference was he could control it. So he made a decision not to be attracted to me. He said the more he got to know me, the more pure and precious I seemed and the less he could let the rot out. He had to keep me safe because the world would destroy me. And the comments he made when he was drunk was one of deep denial and trying to reassure me that he didn't have disgusting thought about me. That does explain some things about how my husband behaves around me and especially in the bedroom. It also explains why he's very protective of me. He's always been an adoring husband, which is at odds with someone who is not attracted to me. The bathtub memory affected him a lot because he could rationalize a lot of things, but for the first time I was vulnerable physically and in need of his help, and his fantasies and intrusive thoughts got worse. Some of the therapy was to try to get me off the pedestal, but it didn't really work and his intrusive thoughts got worse. He said he had to quit and I supported him. He told me some of his fantasies and some were normal and some were disturbing. I told him that I loved and trusted him. Our marriage is strong and I will stay by his side and help him. Relevant comment: maybe a different therapist. He can't continue to live this way. It will eat him up inside. OP, he is averse to the thought of therapy now. It's good that he still comes to marriage counseling. I don't want to push him to something that makes him uncomfortable, but I do want him to find a therapist. I will do some research to find a better therapist. My plan is to help him feel more comfortable and then when he is better, suggest therapy again. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to connect with each other in the comments below. Until next time, be kind, be curious, and I'll catch you in the next video. Corner Stories signing off.